Anyway, today's topic is Hallyu. How many of you are fans of Hallyu? Just 4 of us? 5 of us, okay. Well, I don't blame anyone who is not a fan of Hallyu. Anyway, let's see what's in store for you guys today. A fancy title here, The Rise of Korean Popular Culture as a Global Phenomenon or Globally Popular Phenomenon. And I have a list of things to cover today, and quite a few, right? I don't know if I will have time to, I'm sure I won't have time to cover a conclusion, but we'll try our best. Hallyu, introduction. As you'd agree, Korea has long suffered from the lack of groundbreaking cultural exports. For decades, the country's reputation was largely defined by its cars, cell phones, and TV from companies like Hyundai, Samsung, and LG, while its movies and TV shows and music remained relatively unknown. I mean, that is until recently, of course, right? And also, for a long time, Japanese popular culture outshone and overshadowed whatever Korea produced, be it movies, dramas, or music. Again, until recently, right? Now, Korean dramas and K-pop stars like BTS and Blackpink appear as ever-present as any Samsung smartphone in the global scene. Should I replace Blackpink with New Jeans? And replace BTS with Stray Kids? Is it Stray Kids or Stray Kid? Kids. In the last few years alone, Korea shocked the world with Parasite, the first foreign language film to win the Best Picture Award at the 2019 Academy Awards in the 92-year history of the award. More recently, Squid Game became a global sensation when it became Netflix's most watched series of all time. Can anyone confirm whether this is still true? Well, let me know if you have an update on this. Still true. Still true. Thank you. South Korea's cultural output is still tiny compared with key exports like semiconductors, but it has given the country the sort of influence that can be hard to measure. The question is, what is Hallyu? What have been the impacts of Hallyu on Korea and beyond? What are the factors which make the Korean wave a globally popular phenomenon? What are the implications of Hallyu on cultural diplomacy and soft power? Do you think, well, I'll not give you too much hints now. Anyway, what is Hallyu? Well, I meant to ask you this. Can anyone define what Hallyu is? Or the Korean wave? Is your heart and mind in the square outside for the festival?
I mean, that's kind of an example of this. Because it's K-pop artists out there. So it does relate.
Okay. Anyway, it's very simple definition, right? I think you could I mean, once you know, it doesn't take much to actually recite this, right? Hallyu refers to the global popularity of Korean popular culture. Or you can also put it this way. Hallyu refers to the rise in the popularity of Korean popular culture in many parts of the world. Well, something like that, right? And I don't know if you have seen something like this, but you have Hallyu 1, Hallyu 2, and Hallyu 3. The period of Hallyu 1 is from 1995 to mid-2000s, Hallyu 2, mid-2000s to early 2020s, Hallyu 3, present to foreseeable future. There's definitely an overlap too, right? So even with the focus, just because we're at Hallyu 2 does not mean K-dramas is excluded, okay? It could be both K-dramas and K-pop being popular under Hallyu 2, but K-pop being simply more popular, okay? And also under Hallyu 3, this K lifestyle is in addition to K-dramas and K-pop, okay? So examples are also different, but anyway, keep in mind that there's definitely a lot of overlap, okay? Hallyu was first driven by the spread of K-dramas across Asia in the first decade of the 21st century, but has evolved from a regional trend into an influential global phenomenon today. Korea is now one of the world's leading exporters of popular culture, along with the US, England, Germany, France, and Japan. American political scientist Joseph Nye interprets the Korean wave as, quote, the growing popularity of all things Korean, from fashion and film to music and cuisine, unquote. Agreeable? Indeed, Hallyu now encompasses the popularity of other Korean cultural products such as online games, animation, fashion, food. My God, is, kimbap, kim, and also cosmetics, K-beauty, and so on, right? The prominent British weekly news magazine, The Economist, thus called Korean pop culture, quote, Asia's foremost trendsetter, unquote. Agreeable? At least for now, right? Anyway, made in South Korea, Korean wave. And I think this is an imitation of something that was made for Japan. When there was a Japanese wave, they had something similar to this. But anyway, Korean wave. Okay, turning to, again, I showed you that table with Hallyu 1 to 3, but let's go back to Hallyu 1, K-dramas. And do you know which K-dramas were so popular that they put Korean dramas on the world map of TV or TV dramas? Yeah. That's after. So this goes back to like 20 years back. I mean, these two that I'm talking about, they were really, really, really popular. More popular than the one that you mentioned. What was the title again?
Boys Over Flowers.
Boys Over Flowers. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Winter Sonata. What's the other one that I'm waiting to hear? So like, again, like 20 years ago. That's after, so that's, I'll give you a big hint. It's a historical drama.
I was thinking Sandglass, but that might be too domestic.
Okay. Hmm? No. Thank you. Good try. Well, this is what I'm talking about. Winter Sonata, made in 2002. And just like a year or two later came Jewel in the Palace. These two, I don't think, well, maybe Squid Games comes close to this, okay? I mean, that's how popular these two dramas were back 20 years ago, okay? I mean, just so many people in many parts of Asia just went crazy over these two dramas, okay? And this is when people outside Korea took notice of Korean dramas, and from the popularity of these two dramas came other dramas that you just mentioned about, okay? So just to give you a sense of how popular this particular drama was, it was at the time the highest rated TV drama in Korea before being exported to 91 countries across the world. And believe it or not, in Iran, when it aired between 2006 and 2007, it had a viewer rating of 86%. Do you know any show back home in your country? Any show, anything, that had a viewer rating even 50%, right? Well, we're talking about 86%, which means 86% of the television that was turned on when this was airing was tuned into that particular drama. Just simply amazing, okay? Today, Korea is one of the world's top exporters of TV dramas. Before I show you, do you know which country exports the largest number of dramas?
Mexico?
You see, the reason I ask you this is this. Look up the definition of drama. Drama includes not only soap operas, but it also includes dramas like CSI. You get a hint? So the number one exporter is? USA, by far. Okay? So top 5 are these: US, UK, Korea, Spain, and Argentina. Okay? Korean dramas are also being remade in many countries. More importantly, Korean dramas are very popular in the streaming platform and on over-the-top subscription video on demand services like Netflix. Netflix acquired 41 K-dramas in 2020 alone. And of course, you cannot say that every K-drama on Netflix is good. At least few are good, right? Warning. I'll let you read it. Have you ever seen this when you started watching K-dramas? Can you name any drama that sort of this particular warning applies to? Anyway, next one. We have a new term entering the Oxford Dictionary of English. K-drama addict. A person whose love of K-dramas has moved beyond a hobby and into an obsession. And again, I wonder if these two slides, warning and this dictionary entry, will still make sense 5 years from now. I wonder. And last visual slide. K-drama world problems. When my, well, I won't read it, but anyway. All right, Hallyu 2. This is where BTS and your favorite idol band is mentioned. Hallyu 2 K-pop. Korean wave began with television dramas. But the most popular form of Hallyu today is K-pop. Since the mid-2000s, the K-pop music market has experienced double-digit growth rates every year. In 2021, K-pop exports totaled nearly $1 billion, prompting Time magazine to claim that it is South Korea's greatest export. Bigger than Samsung phone, bigger than LG refrigerator, and bigger than Hyundai cars. First generation K-pop artists include HOT. Sorry, H-O-T. Now, correct me on this one. Is it God or G-O-D? Okay. SCS. Is it F-I-N-K-L or Finkel? I'm just kidding. That one I know. Shinhwa, Boa, and Rain. Second and third and fourth generation K-pop artists include all these. Super Junior, Who Does Not Fly, Big Bang, Wonder Girls. You know, in Korea, we jokingly say Wonder Women because they have aged, right? Girls' generation, now women's generation. Anyway, okay. Recent milestones attained by K-pop artists. April 2009. So Boa, who is sort of semi-retired back in Korea, she has a distinction of being the first K-pop artist to have an album on Billboard 200. Okay, it reached number 127 in April 2009. So, for your information, the Billboard 200 is a record chart ranking. Let me say it one more time. Billboard 200 is a record chart ranking. No. The Billboard 200 is a record chart. Wow, it's the wording is not right, is it? It's a record chart ranking the 200 most popular music albums and EPs. Right? I don't know if there should be a comma there, right? The Billboard 200 is a record chart, comma, ranking the 200 most popular music albums and EPs, and P should be capitalized, right? December 21st, 2012. Do you know Psy? The Gangnam Style guy? His video became the first YouTube video to reach 1 billion views. And I jokingly say that this is one record that will never be broken. Actually, it's not a joke. It's true, right? It's the first 1 billion views, and this guy has been raking in so much money just because of this one video. Why? 1 billion, oops. If you could catch his concert, try to do so. I think he does give one heck of a live show. Anyway, after 1 billion views, look at this guy. 3rd billion, 4th billion, 5th billion, and counting, right? And I think that is worth millions of dollars, if not more, okay? June 2018, you know, if I had more time, I could include so many other groups, right? TVXQ, Big Bang, 21, and so on, but I had to really cut this short, okay? Because I have so much other stuff to cover. June 2018, Blackpink became the highest charting female K-pop act on Billboard 200 with Dudu. Dudu, peaking at number 40. Okay. This is Blackpink. June 2018 and April 2019, and I'm talking about BTS. I cannot emphasize this enough. Where can you imagine a non-English speaking artist from Asia having a #1 album on Billboard 200? Okay, and that's what BTS did. And again, I say this, and with me, you know, not being a BTS fan, but I just have to recognize what a remarkable achievement this is for a K-pop artist. Okay, again, if I said this as a big fan of BTS, you know, you may think, wow, he's such a major fan guy. But anyway, I say this very objectively, I hope. To have 3 #1 albums on Billboard 200, one other artist has done this. Can you guess which artist has done this in the past, before the BTS? What comes to your mind when someone asks you, who are the king of Western pop music? The Beatles. Even Justin Bieber could not do this. Okay? What did you say?
He could never.
Oh, he could never. But he's one good thing about this guy, Justin Bieber, he's Canadian. Anyway, 3 #1 albums in less than a year, okay? And so the BTS became the first group since the Beatles to earn 3 #1 albums in less than a year. Just amazing stuff. Again, as a non-BTS fan, I mean, if I say that one more time, I'll appear as a BTS secret admirer of BTS, right? All right, August 2018, BTS sold out its first US stadium show at New York's Citi Field. The reason why this stands out is when Beatles visited the US for the first time and held their first concert, it was at the same stadium, okay? And this is what the stadium looks like. You see this parking lot? Guess what happened? well, like a few days before the concert began.
My friend was there, people were camping.
See, whose tent was there? Did you say?
No, my friend, she didn't camp, but she saw all the tents, so but it was wild. Because she like flew in the night of it, but it was wild.
Well, I have to share my secret with you. This is my tent.
Wow, that's a big tent. Actually, it's a little bit bigger, so we'll throw it over.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's my son's tent. Anyway, moving on. March 2020, BTS had fourth number one. November 2020, BTS had their fifth number one. And June 2020, June 2020, BTS had their sixth number one. Do you think they will ever have another number one album?
Yes.
No. Because when they get out of the army, they'll be in their mid-30s. And I think a lot of BTS fans will be turned off by their age.
I don't think so.
I'm just.
They're all waiting for the next tour to be announced.
No wonder then BTS are being hailed as the Beatles for the 21st century, and I beg to differ. Why? Yes, they had their number one albums, but I think these albums were sold only to BTS fans. Whereas the Beatles were popular among people of all different ages, different gender, and so on. Okay? So people know Beatles songs. Do I know any BTS song? Sorry, not a single song.
Not a single one.
Not a single one, except Prove Yourself. It's just a song that says Prove Yourself. I just made that up. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes. So fans, it's called bulk buying, right? They just buy to prove their loyalty, right? All right. So BTS has been, at least until they were in hiatus, the world's hottest and the biggest performing artist. For your visual pleasure, that's the BTS in their late 20s. To continue with the recent milestones attained by K-pop artists, September 2022 and March 2024, the following K-pop artists have had number one album on the Billboard 200 during this period. And look at this Stray Kids. They have 4 number one albums on Billboard 200. So they are K-pop artists with the second largest number of number one albums. Okay, and again, do I know any Stray Kids song? Prove Yourself. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. So moving right on to more substantive stuff. And I want to talk, so the next section is the impact of the Korean wave. And before I share with you what I have, can anyone tell me what your thoughts are as far as the impact of the Korean wave are concerned? Okay, so increase in tourism to Korea. Very good. What else? I think you could at least guess one more. Sales of? Okay, sales of Korean produced goods, particularly what? Name two. Obviously, you're not into Korean cosmetics, are you? As I am. So, cosmetics, and second, Korean foods, like ramyeon. It's just selling like crazy all over the world now, right? And kim. Do you know what kim is? You know, seaweed is a derogatory term, as you may know, right? Who invented that term? Seaweed. Westerners. They berated seaweed because they don't eat seaweed. Asians do, not all Asians, but some Asians, and they thought of it as weed-like, right? Again, when you add a term weed to something, is there a sense of respect or looking down? Right? So, but they have changed their mind. You know, seaweed, let's call it kim. It's high in protein, low in calorie. So that's why it's called superfood now. Okay? So if you're wondering, oh, what should I take back home to give as a gift? Kim. Perfect. You know why? Right now, USA imports the largest amount of kim from Korea. It's the number one country. Okay? So anyway, so one was increase in tourism, increase in buying of Korean produced goods, especially cosmetics, and packaged foods, right? Or foods. One more. Something I think you could guess. I'll give you a hint. Think about yourself. Migration. Yes. Increase in increase in visibility. I mean, it is true, but maybe you could refine it a bit. Yes.
I was going to say the increase in people learning the Korean language.
Yes. So increase in the study of Korea, whether it's language, culture, society, and how, for example, you guys have come to Korea as exchange students, right? That's a good example of people becoming more interested in Korea as a subject. Okay? So you have three things now, right? And let's see what else we have. First is increase in exports of Korean media cultural content. It totaled over $12.5 billion in 2021, jumping nearly 20 times from 2003. 20 times, right? Look at this. Exports of Korean media cultural contents from 2003 to 2021 from $630 million to $12.5 billion. Okay? A noteworthy fact about the export total of media cultural contents is that it exceeded the figures for other notable Korean exports such as agricultural products, cosmetics, electric cars, and household appliances. See, you're at an age where you don't really buy appliances, right? But ask your parents, what is their favorite brand as far as appliances concerned? television, refrigerator, and so on, they'll say Samsung or LG. But the export total of media cultural contents surpassed every one of these, as you can see here. Okay? As you may know, the number one export item of Korea is semiconductor. Okay? Followed by machinery and so on. So this is media cultural content. And below that, you see agricultural products, cosmetics, household appliances, electric cars. So this media cultural content is big. Okay? And I'm sure you're asking yourself, what does it mean by media cultural content? Anyway, it'll come. In terms of sales volume, the top 3 cultural content export items were online games. And the second is K-pop. Third, characters. So here we go. This is everything included under media cultural contents. Online games, music, characters, broadcasting, and so on. Movies, last. Okay? Yeah, we have some ways to go to make Korean movies more artistically more, let's just say, there are a lot of rooms for improvement. Let's just put it that way. Well, I'm giving you, sort of showing you some pictures of online games made by Korean companies. As you can see here, there's nothing Korean about this, right? And same thing. Maybe behind the mask you'll see a Korean-looking person, I don't know. Of course not, right? Anyway, next one. This is the most popular Korean online game, but you never knew, right? So that's why some things become almost anonymous. We call it culturally orderless. There's no Koreanness in any one of these, right? Now, the biggest bank in Canada is called RBC. You know what it stands for? Royal Bank of Canada. Now, why do you think they changed the name? Because people may be pissed off with the term royal, right? And people don't, the Royal Bank of Canada does not want people to recognize their bank as Canadian. So they put RBC. That's what globalization is about. You don't have to tell the world where you're from, okay? Where your headquarters are, okay? So you can find those examples everywhere. Can you think of any other examples like RBC? Anyway, moving on. This is a table showing how USA is simply the number one in every one of these genres. Just killing the rest of the field, right? It's just number one by far. Whether it's, well, maybe games, not like far out number one, but look at movies, right? Number 2 is Japan, but the Japanese movie market is only like 1/5 of the US. Music, 1/3 of American, so on, and broadcasting, Not even close, right? So why do you think USA is so powerful when it comes to popular culture? This is a $1 million question. And especially American students. Did you ever think why and how USA became such a dominant super powerhouse as far as popular culture is concerned? You know, ironically, USA has no traditional culture to preserve. Every other culture that you know, whether it's Japan, Korea, Tanzania, they have culture to preserve. So a lot of money goes into preserving their tradition and so on, right? On the US side, nothing. So they have all the money to invest in creating popular culture. That's my theory. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but just an idea. But think about that. Continuing with the impact, increase in international tourism to Korea. This has been mentioned. The number of international tourists to Korea jumped nearly 6 times between 1990 and 2019, soaring from like nearly 3 million in 1990 to 17.5 million in 2019. And we sort of stopped here because of the COVID-19 pandemic from 2020 to 2022. Okay? So this is a figure. So nearly 3 million to over 17 million as of 2019. As of 2016, Korea is the world's 20th most visited country by international tourists. And just for fun, right? Which country had the largest number of international tourists in 2016? And I'm sure it's still the same. Which country do you think receives the largest number of tourists? France. France. Is everyone in agreement? France? Yes. So France, number 1, followed by the US, Spain, number 4, China, 5th, Italy, and so on, right? And I want to remind you one more time, I don't know if you have time now to actually visit neighboring countries like China and Japan. Because when you go back to where you came from, it'll become very difficult now, right? Because it'll be so expensive, just airfare alone, right? So if you, well, make an effort. Third is increases in exports of other cultural products, and this is where cosmetics and packaged foods come in. So first, cosmetics. So I'll finish talking about this and we'll have our break. Exports of cosmetics totaled nearly $9.2 billion in 2021, jumping more than 11 times from the 2012 total of $831 million. Now, you guys find this redundant? Like, who cares? Kind of. No. I'm serious as to when you hear someone like me like highlighting this, right? Because for me, this is a big deal. Why? Because nobody gave a care about Korean cosmetics. But now, people buy it thinking it's a good, cosmetic product. Again, if Korean cosmetics have been appreciated from a long time ago, for me to mention this would be really redundant, right? But again, this is all happening for the first time. Okay? And the effort is being made to make this link, right? That it's popular because of Hallyu. Okay, that's the idea, right? So, I don't know if you are aware that these are Korean brands. Okay, they include all of these. Wow, SUM. Is it SUM 37? Laneige, Solhasu, Innisfree. Itude House. Anyway, in terms of cosmetics export total, Korea was ranked 3rd in the world. Can you believe this? Who would have guessed that Korea, number 3 in the world? And the top 2 exporting countries as far as cosmetics are concerned are? US, number 2. Number 1? France. Okay? So I'm sure you could tell that these brands are well known, right? Chanel. Yeah, in terms of quantity, they may not sell as many as the American ones, but it's all about the export value, right? So France number 1, number 2, the US, L'Oreal, Mac, so American, right? McDonald's, right? So again, keep this in mind. Korea is number 3 in the world when it comes to cosmetic export. Okay. Okay, so we're talking about how Hallyu has helped Korean cultural products to be selling at a much higher volume, and one was cosmetics. Second, Korean foods. I've already mentioned how it's. So we're just talking about the export total first. Okay. So last year there was a total of $12 billion in sales of Korean foods, and Korean foods include, of course, not only ramen and also what? Kimchi. Kim, right? And so on, right? So of all the Korean foods, I think ramen really stands out because did you know that I would say practically every Asian country has its own ramen brands, right? But the best selling ramen brands are all Korean. Okay? You could go to any European country, even like a small village would carry Korean ramen. Okay? So if you haven't tried it yet, try buldak. Very spicy one, right? No one makes ramen that spicy. Okay? Anyway, Korean ramen, as of 2023, almost had a 1 billion sale mark. Okay? From a mere $157 million worth of ramen sale to almost $1 billion sale. Okay? So it is safe to say that the whole world is going crazy over Korean ramen, especially buldak. There's my French for you. Top importer of Korean ramen is China number 1, US number 2, number 3 Japan, number 4 Taiwan, number 5 Thailand. Okay? This is the buldak I told you about. Is there anybody who hasn't tried this yet? Buldak. Who hasn't? So everyone in this room has tried it? Wow, amazing stuff. You haven't? Well, after class, you got to. You could go to any shop, right? Make sure you have 2 bottles of water beside you, right? Anyway, our love for ramen is also indicated by how any convenience store has a really big display of these ramen, right? And if you go to a supermarket, just whole row of ramen, right? And so many different brands and so on. You know, I remember like 20 years ago when I was living in a dorm, and at certain parties I would prepare this black noodle, and they were like they were so shocked that spaghetti looking something would be black. But they tried it anyway, but I don't know if they appreciate it back then. But now I'm sure if you say it's Korean, everyone goes, wow, it's good, kind of, right? Anyway. All right. This is the last point on the food, dry seaweed. The export of Korean seaweed also deserves mention. Korea is currently the largest exporter of seaweed in the world. Its export total in 2022 was $653 million, more than tenfold increase from the 2007 total of $60 million. So Korea accounts for 70% of the global seaweed market. Okay? Again, I'm now feeling uncomfortable using the term seaweed because, again, it's not right. It's beautiful food, right? And the world is now using the term kim. It's a Korean term, kim, okay? G-I-M. And so which country is the largest importer of Korean kim? USA, Japan, China, Thailand, Russia. Even Russians are eating kim. Okay? Do you remember the term I introduced to you? Societies lexicalize terms, right? So lexicalize is sometimes mostly used positively. But lexicalization is sometimes used negatively, and a good example is seaweed, okay, by Westerners. They wanted to make what Asians eat in a derogatory way, so they say, oh, it's seaweed. How could they eat that, kind of, right? But again, everything has changed. So this is the kind of, the seaweed comes in 2 types. One is just dried, no salt, no seasoning. And that's what you use to make kimbap. But they come in small packages. They're seasoned. So if you just have a freshly cooked rice, that's all you need. Nothing else. That's how good it is. So if you haven't tried it yet, try it when you can. Okay? All right? It's 6:11. I'll see you back here at 6:15. Okay, welcome back. We're done with the foods and moving on. So we're talking about the impact of the popularity of Hallyu, right? And so we talked about three, right? One is the increase in the export of media cultural content. Second one was increase in tourism, not in any particular order. Third was increase in export of other cultural products, including foods. Fourth impact is the formation of more positive image of Korea, right? This, I'm sure everyone could agree with. So popularity of Hallyu leads to or has led to more positive images of Korea. Fifth impact has been that Hallyu has become a source of national pride. So for Koreans, the global recognition of Korean popular culture makes them feel good, makes them feel proud, right? So that's the point behind number 5. Sixth impact. This already was mentioned. With Hallyu, I think people have become more interested in the study of Korea. And, well, maybe I could ask exchange students, what would be the number one reason for coming to Korea to study? Not Hallyu? It doesn't have to be Hallyu.
I discovered Korea through Hallyu, but I never come here as like a but it was mostly great education. I'm not exchange.
Oh, you're not exchange student. You're exchange student?
I am, yeah. I mean, my interest in coming to Korea is because my dream career goal would be to work in like an organization that works with like North Korean human rights.
Oh.
Like U.S.-North Korea relations.
Mm.
I want to obviously improve Korean.
Okay, so at least in your case, not quite related to Hallyu.
I don't follow much.
Okay.
I like BTS, but that's about it.
All right, sounds good. Anyway, for some, or at least for a considerable number of students all over the world, they became interested in studying about Korea because of Hallyu, because of K-dramas, and because of K-pop. So this is indicated by greater enrollment in Korean language and culture classes at universities and Korean cultural centers abroad. Just to give you one example, okay, this is from the USA. 9 most commonly taught languages in 4-year universities in the US in selected years. So from 1950 to 2021, look where Korean is. Korean is at the bottom, but you know why it stands out? Every other language except Japanese and Korean, and oh, I should not say it's just the Korean or Japanese, but at least in terms of the increase, right? From 1958 to 2021, there have been 6, to say the increase has jumped 639 times. Is that how it works? Anyway, you can see the number here, right? 63,957% increase. And that's the highest by far. Okay? So the interest in the study of Korean language, at least, has jumped remarkably, right? between 1958 and 2021. And also evident are increases in the number of foreign students studying in Korea. The total jump from some 83,000 in 2010 to 166,892 as of April 2022. And here we go. So from 2010, when there were only like 83,000 foreign students studying in Korea, yellow line is a degree student, pink line, non-degree student. So you can see how the number of foreign students studying in Korea has noticeably increased, and the Korean government wants to increase this total to 300,000 by 2030. Okay, so I don't know if the government can plan this kind of thing, but what the government can do is to make admission for foreign students easier, and maybe even provide certain financial incentives by making the tuition fee cheaper for foreign students, for example, right? Okay, well, also, in order to, again, facilitate more foreign students studying in Korea, the Korean government could offer more scholarships too, right? Anyway, it's okay. Seventh impact is the impact of Hallyu on world popular culture. It simply means that with Hallyu, with K-dramas, and with K-pop, the world audience has alternatives. Okay, they don't just have to rely on, Hollywood movies. They don't have to just listen to, Western pop music dominated by English-speaking artists. Like from the U.S. and England, right? I know, yes, that there are artists from other parts of Europe who are also popular. I'm talking about bands like Rammstein. You guys know Rammstein? Just beautiful stuff. If you haven't listened to any one of their music, try it. Anyway, so Western pop culture no longer has a monopoly. That's the point I'm making here, okay? Because of K-pop and K-dramas. So again, Hallyu is challenging the monopoly of Western, especially American popular culture. Indeed, Hallyu represents the growing diversity in the way people all over the world enjoy popular culture. K-pop, K-dramas, and K-movies represent forms of popular culture which are unique and are different from the Western model. Last impact is Hallyu's contribution to Asian pride. And, I'm just making an argument. You don't have to agree with this. Is it possible that with K-pop and K-dramas, when you like BTS, when you like Blackpink, when you like New Jeans, Stray Kids, and you have these artists as your idol, you finally have someone you like who who are Asians like you. So when I say Asian pride, I'm talking about Asian people. Okay? Maybe we could exclude Indians here because they may not empathize with like East Asia as sort of having the same sort of a cultural background, but at least among the people of East Asia and also Southeast Asia, there may be this thing called Asian pride. Okay, so with K-dramas and K-pop, you have all of these elements of Asia being showcased, right? So K-dramas show Korean or Asian stories, and so with the K-pop, K-dramas boom in popularity all over the world, Asians, their histories and stories finally have a spotlight in the eyes of the global public. So things Asian are being more accepted and recognized all over the world. So it's cool to be an Asian is the idea. Again, it's an argument, and you could agree or disagree. Okay. And I have a whole bunch of negative impact of Hallyu. In the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about this. But before I move on, do you know of any negative impact of Hallyu? Anything you don't like about Hallyu? Yes?
I mean, I think if that's people's only exposure to Korean culture, they can get an inaccurate picture of what Korea's really like.
Okay, so K-dramas in particular portray Korea in a misleading way, right? Especially their lavish lifestyle and Korean men being so nice. I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's definitely one. What else? Yes?
Someone who buys K-pop albums, I say this bulk buying and then they throwing away the album or something like that.
This crazy fan activity that leads to a lot of waste. Yes? So people becoming obsessed with Korean popular culture, sort of, which is not mentally healthy, of course, right? Have you heard of the term called Korea Boo? So they like the Korean stuff so much that they even try to look Korean, right? So I don't know how that happens. It's okay. I think we do try to imitate, right? Artists that we like. Right? To a certain extent, we all do that, right? But I think if you go over the line, that becomes obsession, right? And it's not healthy. Okay. So another negative impact, I think this is sort of mentioned. And third is the excessive commercialization of Hallyu, especially K-pop, right? Because with K-pop, is there a sort of a sense of progress in K-pop music? Or is it, so K-pop that was produced 13 years ago, and you listen to K-pop today, is there any major difference in sound? Well, that's part of commercialization, right? So they just try to appeal to the audience instead of developing their artistic musical merit, right? Anyway, so this Korea Boo. All right. Sort of a last part, or second last, is factors for the success of Hallyu. And can anyone mention what the factors are for the success of Hallyu? Yes. Okay. Okay, so two factors have been mentioned. The technology factor, which is the internet, and the first factor that she mentioned was policy factor, and that refers to the role of the government, right? So I'll give you more details about those a little bit later. Anything else? Yes. Hmm. Okay, very good. Let's call that fandom factor, where fans do so much for their idol groups, right? One of which is to translate lyrics in Korean into like English and other languages, right? So what are the three factors again? Policy factor, fandom factor, technology factor. Okay, just to make it neat. Last call. Anything else before I move on? Well, I think if we go by these factor thing, like, you know, policy factor, fandom factor, technology factor, I think this is called economic factor. Okay? And this is what I mean. Let me ask you, why wasn't Korea able to produce K-pop and K-dramas 50 years ago? Why did it have to wait until like 20 years ago? You see, that's where economic factor comes in. You see, and related question is this: how is it that the US is able to produce Hollywood blockbuster movies? See, it is possible because they have the resources, they have the money, they have the capital. Okay? So, the success of Hallyu is closely linked to the rapid economic success of South Korea. So that's why it's called economic factor. Okay? So Korea could not do this 50 years ago because Korea did not have financial resources because it was poor. It was a developing country. So it didn't have money to produce these stylish, sophisticated, popular cultural products. Okay? So that's one, okay? Economic factor, okay? So you need money. Country needs to be wealthy to produce stylish, sophisticated, popular cultural products. That's one, okay? Number two, it's called soft power. And I will not be able to give you a full sense of what soft power is. And what do you do? If I don't fully convey all the necessary ideas to you, what do? You look it up. Okay? Make sure you look this up for the goodness of your final exam. Okay? Look it up. All right? Soft power And soft power refers to the intangible power exercised by a country through its positive image, rather than a hard force such as military or economic power. Let me ask you this. When you just, without naming a country, do you think developing countries have soft power, or developed countries have soft power? Which is the case? Which appear more attractive to you? Developing countries or developed countries? Developed. That's what soft power is. Okay? And it follows this. A country's positive image, hence soft power, most often derives from its economic power. Okay? I don't think I could put it any better. Okay? A country's positive image, hence soft power, derives most often from its economic power. So there is this direct correlation between the economic strength of a nation and the outreach of its culture. Okay? Why is it that, for example, English has become a universal lingua franca? That's because the US and the English-speaking countries have become a dominant economic power. Okay? Did you know that 1/5 of the world economy is dominated by the USA? USA GDP accounts for 1/5 of the world total. Okay? That's why, there is this, again, correlation between the economic strength of a nation and the outreach of its culture, and it continues this way. So the soft power of the US is the reason for the following phenomena, among others. Popular music all over the world use instruments from the West. And what about musical styles? Is there any musical style of K-pop that's uniquely Korean? Musical style. See, K-pop, as you would agree, is a combination of many musical styles of the USA, especially, right? And continues popularity of all these foods, popularity of these sports, popularity of Western literature, and so on, rise of English as a global language. All of these have to do with the fact that USA, with its economic power, has a lot of soft power. Okay? And to continue with this concept of soft power, you know these brands that are most expensive and the most well-known, where are they made in? They're all made in very rich countries. Okay? Hence, soft power. Okay? So, continuing with this soft power argument, South Korea had to wait until the early 2000s when it became one of the most economically developed countries that its popular culture became appreciated more. Okay? Third factor is something already mentioned, technological factor. And Hallyu is the first case of spreading popular culture through IT, and especially the internet. And so social media such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and blogs functioned as global superhighways by which Korean popular culture reached overseas Hallyu fans faster and wider than ever before. Streaming services did the same for K-dramas. Fourth factor is the policy factor. Korean government's support for cultural export. And there is a very interesting history behind this. In 1994, a report was made to the president suggesting that the government promote media production as a national strategic industry. Okay? And this move was prompted by the shocking news that the overall revenue from the Hollywood blockbuster Jurassic Park was worth the foreign sales of 1.5 million Hyundai cars. Okay? And at the time, this was really a shocking news because export of Hyundai cars was considered the pride of Korea. Okay? And this was achieved through the sweat and blood of so many Korean workers, and yet Hollywood studio achieved what Korea achieved with so many people working so hard with just this creative effort, right? So that's why idea was put forward that we need to put more effort into making a culture industry something that generates revenue for Korean society. Okay? So from that chance but momentous beginning, the Korean government has come to believe that an increased interest in Korean popular culture abroad can benefit the country's export sector. The growing popularity of Korean pop culture can also improve its image and reputation, hence increase its soft power. In due time, the Korean government launched an agency to oversee and coordinate the promotion of the Korean content industry and to promote cultural exports. So the Center for Promotion of Cultural Industry was established in 2000, and this was re-established as the Korea Creative Content Agency, or Kuocw, in 2009. And a phrase that best captures the distinctive characteristics of Kuocw is cultural engineering mindset. According to the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, the global trade of cultural goods amounted to $16.4 trillion in 2017, and the Korean government is eyeing a significant part of that pie. And the cultural engineering mindset of Kuocw includes, first, provision of subsidies and low-interest loans to companies involved in the creation and development of cultural content and programs. Second, regulation of content quality. Third, nurturing talents and training content creators by hosting workshops. And fourth, provision of support for expansion into overseas market through all of these. So I'll give you maybe a few seconds to read it without me actually reading it for you. So you can see how the government has done so much to nurture creative content industry especially focusing on helping companies penetrate overseas markets. Okay, so you can see the government doing all these, especially the last 5 points that you see on the slide. Okay, the second last factor that so this was not really mentioned, strategic factor, and it's the role of K-pop entertainment agencies. So if we go by the factor scheme, you have an economic factor, fandom factor, technology factor, policy factor, and now strategy factor, right? And this is where we get to talk about the role of K-pop entertainment agencies. I mean, just by looking at the heading, can anyone tell me if you know any specific like role that K-pop entertainment agency plays? How does it do things that are different from, let's say, entertainment firm, let's say in the USA? Yeah.
I think they have a very wide range of products and offer them more constantly than the US does.
So K-pop entertainment agencies keep on producing faster all these different acts. Yes? And they hold global auditions to recruit trainees. Okay? Well, those are all valid points, and here we go. What K-pop entertainment agencies do or are expert at is what is called polished packaging. Okay? They produce top-notch products because they train the artist, produce and promote their music, and manage them. Okay? I think more than, let's say, what American entertainment agencies do. Okay? It's almost like pampering them, right? And so a common characteristic of these entertainment companies is that they operate as an entertainment conglomerate, replete with several subsidiaries, each of which typically manages K-pop artists of their own. You know, for example, New Jeans, which had some issue with its mothership company called HYBE. So New Jeans is a product of a subsidiary called Adore, for example, right? So HYBE, for example, has many subsidiaries, and each one of these subsidiaries has few acts of its own, right? Anyway, so these entertainment agencies sort of acting like a conglomerate mean that they manage under one roof everything you see here. Okay? Again, this is very unique. I don't think this happens with an entertainment company in the West, for example. Okay? And among the strategies of K-pop entertainment agencies, the traineeship strategy has been most important. So you're familiar with what trainees are subjected to, right? They are recruited, and they are subjected to rigorous training in singing, dancing, and also foreign language. and they live together in most often cases, right? And they're super managed, so they really don't have their own sort of freedom in a way, right? They're again, they're under the close surveillance of their managers and so on, right? Lastly, the fandom factor, and this refers to the dedicated fan base. And so the unique roles of K-pop fan clubs include fans publicize the news about latest songs, concerts, etc. of their idol groups. They translate Korean song lyrics in English and other languages for casual fans. So this was mentioned earlier. And bulk buying. Fans loyally and blindly buy their idol group's CD and other merchandises, sometimes in multitudes, if not often. And many K-pop artists manipulate this by packaging CDs with different pictures of their members, right? Is BTS guilty of this too? Ay. New Jeans?
They all do it.
Blackpink?
I don't think there's a group that does it, but I could be wrong on that.
Oh my God.
I think I'm just wondering and then they have photo cards that also different like selling size. They have different special photo cards.
Now, can I give you a homework? I trust you that you will follow up on this. Like, something you just mentioned, because I don't have a pen to write this down, right? So if you could just write a few sentences about what K-pop artists do to make their fans buy more of their merchandises. What's your name? Diana. Thank you, and I look forward to receiving your email. All right, club members also listen to songs over and over to boost their band's statistics on YouTube and music streaming sites, right? So for this point, what BTS fans have done is sort of stands out. And I don't know if this still holds the record. But anyway, so I'm almost done. The last part for today's class is this, Hallyu and its implications. And this is only for students who are here, right? If those questions are on your final exam, you should be able to say a few words about each one of them. Okay? I mean, we don't have time to discuss this in detail now, but if they are on the final exam, you should be able to mention something about, what you think is the future of Hallyu. Okay, tell me whether it'll be a long-lasting phenomenon or it'll fade away like a fad. Can the success of Hallyu be duplicated elsewhere? For example, can Hallyu, something like Hallyu, so let's say in Thailand, can they try to duplicate Hallyu? Yes or no? Why? Right? And here, culturally odorless and local cultural fragrance. I'm not going to say anything. So what do? You look it up, okay? And try to connect the dots. And never mind this one, okay? But can Hallyu be a force of soft power? I think that would be a good and rather a difficult question to answer. But if you don't prepare for it, you will be disadvantaged, right? So do your homework, all right? Okay. Thank you. And I'll see you next week. And thank you to students at Nanjing University. And I'll see you next week.